Are you generating business from expired listings?
Yeah, and that was one thing I forgot to mention in the beginning. When I first got into business, my number one source of leads were expireds. I created actually an expired letter that I use. I get in the office, and again, when you first start, you may not have the financial backing to hire assistants and do all this. So in the beginning, you're kind of doing everything yourself. So I'd get in at 5 in the morning and spend about an hour or two stuffing envelopes for the expired letters. And within the first 6 months of doing that, now this was back in 2005 and 2006. I had 20 listings. I mean, it would generate 3 to 4 listings every single month consistently going after expireds. We quit doing them about 2 years ago just because the only thing it seemed to generate was short sale listings, which at that time we were not necessarily going after short sales. We decided to go back after them a little bit later, but now we are heavily going back to our expired letters. And basically how that letter works is at the top I've got a line that says sometimes even the nicest of homes do not always sell, so they know right off the bat that, hey, it's not your house. And then I'll actually borrow the front picture of the property from the MLS, copy and paste it on the letter, so there's a picture of their house on the letter, and pull their name from the tax record, so they'll say, Dear Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and then there's some verbiage in there about the market that may or may not have been their home, that the reason the property didn't sell, and just asking for an opportunity for a listing interview to see what we can do differently and how we can help them. And then we have about 5 or 6 bullet points on there that are stuff that we do differently than any other agents do. And I don't even know if it's stuff that we do differently. It's just stuff that most realtors don't point out that they do. Most homeowners think the agent puts on the MLS or the sign in the yard and that's it. In my mind, it's the agent's fault that the seller thinks that because they don't express to them, hey, here's all the different items we're going to do for you to sell your home, and they don't give them progress reports on each item that they're doing. So we just point out those different items that may or may not have been done, and then personally sign it. And one of the biggest things, at least in my personal opinion, that the letters work so successful, one, the letter itself is personalized with a picture of their house, but to get them to open it, that's a whole other key. So we actually handwrite each individual in an envelope. So it's not labeled, it's not pre-printed, and it seems to get a way bigger response. If I get anything in the mail that's handwritten, I open it. So we're going back to that pretty heavy now. That's actually another thing that our utility and repair specialist on the REO side is doing now. But given the amount of expireds, we used to mail out the 30 plus a day. Right now in our city, we're probably only seeing about 3 to 5 expired properties a day. The number's less, but we are going back to going after those.
In that program, do you just send out the initial letter and that's it? Or are there other items that you either mail out or calls that you make, other actions that you take?
No, in the past, it was just that initial letter. We may have to add to it. We'll have to see how the return goes now. There may have to be a series of follow-up letters, follow-up postcards, and even a property visit potentially. But the letter got such a big response initially that I just never felt the need to do a follow-up with it. And one thing I will say is we'll do those, and about every 6 months, we'll pull all the expireds that expired in the last 6 months. If they haven't relisted with us and they haven't relisted with anybody else, we'll resend the letter. So some of those will get a second letter.